night here, and we're gonna. Oh, we're already dropping stuff. Just a shot of the stuff I've been working on here for a little bit. Well, some of the stuff is the stuff I've been working on for a little bit. Got some figures out here that, and those are not ones I've been working on, but I decided to start painting, and I noticed they were here on my painting table, so I figure I'll talk a little bit about them because they're actually one of my DBA armies that don't see the most action. This is some of the elements. I don't know if it's the whole army, but this is some of the elements I was getting ready to. We're going to do a game night on Monday, and we did, and I had to move some of the stuff out of my case to make room for the stuff that I brought. So this army was sitting in there. These elements of this army were sitting in there, and which were the ones I used in the Another Day in Sicily. This is actually my Fanatic Berber army. This is the second army I ever painted, and for DBA, and they were just sitting here. I do need to put them away because they're kind of in the way of everything else. I did these guys, I want to say in 2005, so they're every bit of almost 16 years old, and they are not a 3.0 compatible army. They are still done when 2.2 was the thing, and I've never converted them to 3.0, which wouldn't take a whole lot. There's some differences in them. They're actually a better army. And let's see if we can get these guys to focus on there a little bit. Maybe not. Come on, focus. Well, I don't know why it's having such a difficult time focusing. Focus by now. Maybe over here. Whoop. Let's not drop them. Anyhow, that's not really the focus of what we were doing. But yeah, these guys are the second army I ever did. And the reason I haven't converted them to 3.0 is one of the main reasons is the basing. I don't do basing like this anymore. The first 6 or 7 armies I did, they the basing that they had was this mixture that I made. I had not discovered Liquitex yet, so I would take natural sand and let me see if I can. Let's flip this over and see if I can get a. Well, there I can see just fine. What, am I too close to them? All right, how about that? Kind of helps if I could point out what it is, but yeah. So I didn't discover Liquitex yet, so I would take natural sand and mix it with Elmer's glue, mix it in a little cup, and I would apply this on here, and you would have different types of grit and stuff on there, and then I would paint it, and I did the first 6 or 7 armies that way. And I actually don't even remember what colors I used for this. So if I was going to add a few more elements to this army to make it 3.0 compatible, what I'd have to do is rebase all of these guys. And I just haven't had the interest in doing that yet. That could take a while. Maybe at some point I'll do it, but I'm probably going to go and rebase some of my armies that take a little bit less effort than this one, and make them 3.0 compatible before I go and mess with this one, because this one involves doing all the basics. Same thing with my with my feudal Spanish. My feudal Spanish have a couple more elements I can add to them, but the basing that was done on them is just like this one. Colors I can't reproduce, and a grit style that is it's significant enough. This is much rockier. Let me see if I can find an element here that's. Let me get a light horse that's got more meat showing underneath it. I don't know why the hell this isn't. This is so blurry. I don't know. Is it just me? I don't know. Let's flip this thing. Let's see if we get better on that. Okay. Let's flip this and see if we can't get this to cooperate. Typical impromptu. You guys are used to that. Marcin, there you are. How are you? Anyhow, so this is, there we go. I don't know why. I guess this camera works better. I don't know. This is the one I normally film with anyway. So yeah, so this is the new style basing, and the old style is like this. It's a lot softer, the old one, so it's not as craggy, and which means it doesn't dry brush as well. So I actually like the new one better, which is why I went over to it. And I don't have to mix up all of that material. Okay, so yeah, so that's the problem with these guys. I would have to rebase them all, or have a couple of elements that just look different, and I'm not really interested in doing that. So that's why they've kind of sat over here and not done. But they were on my table because they're not supposed to be here. I'm just going to move them off to the side, and we will get started. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to work on tonight, and earbuds, and I think I need to take it easy a little bit because I did do my workout a little while ago, so I don't want to do something that's the jitters might be an issue. So we're just gonna move these guys off to the side, and we'll put these guys away later. I have a display case that they sit in the living room in, and I just haven't done that. I have a habit of finding out what we're gonna do on our DBA nights and pack those stuff up in those trays. I don't know if you watched the last Q&A that we did, but I showed you guys what I carry my figures in, and it's those like a baking tray. And in the baking tray, I don't take the stuff out. I just kind of leave them in there. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and use this, and this is what we're going to do. And we're going to do the dry brush this little Jeep that we've painted forever. Like, I'm not ready to do the wood. I feel a little, yeah, like I had a huge workout or something like that. But no, just did some cardio. So we'll do this, and then if we're done with that, then we'll roll to do the other war wagon. So had an interesting thing happen to me yesterday that had never happened to me before. I got a notification from Facebook that my account was restricted, and I could not go on Facebook Live or advertise on Facebook because I had posted something controversial that went against their rules. So I'm like, what the hell is this? I don't post controversial things on there. I don't know what they're talking about. And it said in the last year. Well, it was a meme that I posted that I thought was particularly funny, and I'm not going to show you what it looks like because I don't want to get in trouble on here, but I will describe it to you, and then you can go online and find it. You guys have probably already seen it. You guys probably will not find it offensive, but I posted it probably 2 years ago. I don't know why it took them this long to figure out that it was, you know, that it was something that went against their rules or whatever. But it's a meme it's a black and white image. It's a split image. On the left-hand side, it has Churchill with a victory symbol. On the other side, it has someone that has a mustache that is the opposite of Churchill and giving their salute. And underneath it, it said, "Scissors beats paper." And I thought it was brilliant, and somehow I guess you cannot put any material regarding the Third Reich. I guess they want everybody to forget that the Third Reich even existed, so that all that shit can happen again. But oh well. Luckily, I don't go on Facebook Live anymore. Otherwise, that would kind of put a damper on things. But I guess you can't have anything on there. So be putting no Messerschmitts with swastikas on the tail or anything. So oh well. Anyways, I was really surprised because I don't put controversial stuff on there. Oh well, good thing I don't use Facebook Live. They can stick it. I figured maybe they just had some kind of automated thing that goes in there and says, "Oh, swastika, take that off. We're not promoting that stupidity, you know. Oh, well. Well, I can't find the right color. Pretty soon you won't be able to say color. It'll be considered racist. I don't know. These times we live in, I always wanted to be an adult in the time period I grew up in, not necessarily an adult now. Okay. Let's grab. That's why I decided to do the German vehicles last. So if I get in trouble for doing German vehicles on here, you guys will at least have seen all the Soviet and American vehicles. So let me do first, and I'll get banned, and you guys won't get to see the Wehrmacht vehicles. All right. Yeah, these brushes have no love for each one of those. So let's see. It's because of lack of knowledge, everything is now offensive now. Yeah, everybody's an ignoramus. That's an ignorant butthole. Ignoramus. Yeah. Chess channel was blocked because Lad was using black and white. Really? The chess channel was blocked and nobody knew. I'd rather go to work than play chess. Oh, man. Yeah. All I can hope is those people that are so offended by everything will end up having a bad reaction to the COVID vaccine and die from the side effects. Oh, did I say that? No, that's ridiculous, man. Just leave us alone, man. Don't you have any real problems? I get paid for real problems. I don't want any real problems with this. This is my fantasy. I mean, if you're gonna ban stuff, how about ban all the grisly, murder, demented stuff that's out there? And all this stuff out there that gives ideas to mass murderers and child molesters and all that stuff. How about ban that stuff? Oh no, that's okay. Assholes. History, man. You can't ban history. Yeah. Okay, so we're just we already did the chocolate brown color, and then this is the U.S. Field Drab. I should have done this at some point on was it Sunday when I was paid? But I was on a roll with a war wagon, so we're gonna have to stop this when we get to this next shade up, the next color up. And oh, I knew there was a reason that I have the paper towels in the room, because when I run out, I can just go, voila, paper towel. I probably use these things longer than I should, but there's no reason to be wasteful. Okay, and now we'll go with the last shade. Yeah, thanks for the link on that stuff. I wasn't aware of the Polish forces. I don't know why I could wrap my head around the Polish, like the second armored, is it the second Polish armored division that fought in Falaise pocket? I think that's what they were. You know, what equipment that they used for their for the infantry. But yeah, they probably just used regular Commonwealth gear on that. Though I'm pretty sure somebody makes resistance fighters for like the Warsaw Uprising as well, but I don't remember who makes them. Maybe it's CP. I think CP models may have done it in 20 millimeter, of course. But, okay. You think last one was in 28 millimeter? Okay, I think this is, we're gonna let this dry a little bit until we do put the little grass and stuff on there. But let's see, are we okay to do the war wagons? How do we feel? It'll be all right. I could just stop. Had to get my 20 minutes of exercise. Get your exercise every day, folks, or we all end up having bigger results. My public service announcement. That's my issue, is not moving enough. Not eating. I mean, I eat all my vegetables. I eat everything. That's maybe that's the problem. Yeah, maybe that's the problem. I like everything. I think this is where that stuff was. And I think this is the color I used. Ooh, well, you know, if it's not exactly the same color, that works too. Which brown was the other one? Leather brown. I think it was leather brown. Huh. Okay. Let's just use this brown. Let's see what happens. Let's live on the edge a little bit. All right, where is this stuff here? And of course, this is dry now. So I'm gonna have to give me some more black. What happened to this brush? Why is this one acting weird? Look, it's like splitting. Damn Chinese brush. Another reason we're not going to buy them no more. Once I run out of these brushes, we're going to get them from, I don't know where we're going to get them, but they're not going to be from the CCP, that's for sure. Okay. Yeah, that is a lot lighter. What's going to happen when we add? I'm okay with the wood not being the same color. Let's, why are you, Brush is misbehaving. Oh, over here. I don't do my best work in the evenings, in case you guys couldn't figure this out. I've already been up for 15 hours, so let's get that leather brown. There we go. I don't have that many colors for War Master, and as soon as I saw one, I immediately assumed that it was that one. And you know what happens when you assume. All right, let's see what we kind of left off here. Okay, we were a little bit farther along than that, so let's lighten this up a little bit more. This is like, there's no wrong answer to this. You can just pick up where you left off and there we go. That's about right. I try to do everything all the way in the same tint, hue, shade, whatever. I need to work on my terminology, but I figured everybody that's watching this, they don't know their terminology also. I know what I want to say, I just don't know what the technical word is for it, but tone, shade, whatever. Um, all right. Let's put this across the top, and we need to get the back. Mm-hmm. John Blinky. Good evening. So I may, if I don't have anything to do, take all those Facebook Live videos and try to put them on maybe on the YouTube channel. But yeah, as soon as I do that, YouTube is owned by Google. I'm sure they've got the same type of agenda. They'll might find something. They might find history offensive, and hey, I don't give a crap about advertising. I just want to get the word out of what I'm doing. That's all. Help other people. I mean, I'm not, I'm not a world's authority on anything, but there's some things I've figured out in my over 3 decades of doing this, and maybe somebody will go like, aha, I've done that. I've looked at other people's stuff and found something they were doing that maybe helped me out. And it was from somebody that had been doing it a lot less time than I did, but just somebody different, just a different tack. So I don't care about the advertising. I don't do this for any pittance. I do this to stay on track. We got things to accomplish. We got figures to paint. I wonder if there's a lot. I wonder if there's a lot of people that are war gamers that like they'll refuse to play one side because of whatever reason. It never occurred to me that I wouldn't play somebody just because of their historical ideology. It's just a game, you know. And I mean, I'm painting Soviets, and I'm about as far from a Marxist as you could get. And you know, I paint German stuff, and I'm not a supremacist or don't want to take the world or cart people off. It's just a game, you know. It's a way to learn about history. Um, you know, DBA motivation coaching. Yeah, well, you know, the best thing for DBA is just to show people that, hey, there's other people that are really excited about this stupid game that's impossible to understand sometimes. You need to stick with it. It's worth it. That's all. You know, I don't even know if the author knows that we're making all these videos for his rules. Doesn't really matter. You know, might actually have a bad attitude, like, you know, why do you need to make videos for my rules? They're easy to understand. Well, that's irrelevant. I just want to show people that we're having a good time. It's fun to film games. There's all kinds of crazy stuff that happens that shouldn't happen because of the odds, and it does. And it's fun to share that with you guys. So it is a lot of fun. You've just been painting Scythian light horse. Wow. They've got some they got some good Scythian figures now. I don't know if they're mixable, but I believed Forged in Battle makes some, and then Zyston makes some. Actually, I know that they're not going to be mixable because Zyston things are so much bigger than anything else. But those two companies, their stuff looks really, really good. So, or at least I like them. I had a Scythian army I picked up for beans a long time ago when I sold it. I just don't think that DBA represents horse archers very well. When you get done playing an army that has horse archers, you don't feel like you were just commanding a bunch of horse archers. You feel like you were just playing some other kind of fun game. It doesn't feel right. So, yeah, they got some intricate patterns on their clothing and stuff like that. So, they could be pretty colorful. They had this thing, if I remember correctly, museum miniatures. I like museum. You don't have to decide what horse they're going to be on. They're already coming on the horse. Some people don't like that. I don't mind it. I don't mind that the horse is already molded on it. It's just one less thing I got to do. I've got a bunch of Seljuk Turks that same way for museum. They were getting rid of them, and I have a whole bunch of them, and they're all. This is the horse. This is the horse they rode in on. So yeah, I don't mind that. All right, let's start adding a little bit of white, which I'm sure is dried out as well. Well, it's been 4 days, but this is kind of on the dry end anyways. Next time I get together, I'm going to have to add some water to that. I try to decide what to paint first, Spanish, Romans, or Ostrogoths. Well, whichever one you pick, stick with it. Because if you jump around, then you have, oh shit. Whoops. If you jump around, you don't have anything to show for it. You know, at least that's the way I look at it. So take your time, think about it. And I would do it. I would do a Spanish army, but I'd have to buy them. I don't own the figures for them. And I got plenty of things to do. Like, as much as I'd want to paint more of these vehicles, I'm just not going to do it. I'm just not going to do it just on principle. I've got too much money that I've wasted on these guys over the years that it's going to feel really good to do all this stuff and never spend another dime. That's what I'm looking forward to, being able to say that. So. Although if you guys watched my unboxing of my vehicles the other day, what was it, over the weekend? I think it was Sunday when I shot it. It was, yeah, I have a whole bunch of stuff, not by most wargamers, and I sold quite a bit of it already. There was a lot of kits that I didn't touch, believe it or not. I hadn't touched them. And those were the ones that I sold. Like, I had a Hetzer and a King Tiger, and I want to say I had a couple more Shermans and maybe a T-34 or two or something like that. A King Tiger. I mean, what the hell do you need a King Tiger for? I don't like doing late war stuff to begin with, so I don't remember. I sold it on eBay. It was a long time ago. I don't believe I'd want to sell anything on eBay anytime soon. I don't want to have to go to the post office to mail it. That's like, that's like having a body cavity search. That's about as exciting. I do not want to go to the post office for anything. There's grumpy people there anyways to begin with, and now with the whole mask thing, and I have to go during my lunch hour because it's not open, at other times, and that's cuts into my, that's not what I want to spend my lunch doing. So, are people at the post office in Europe happy? Because the ones that work here are miserable. Maybe it's just an American thing. Maybe it's a post office thing. You like Sturmgeschütz? Not sure why. Stuggies. So I was always surprised why most of the model companies that I had when I was a kid and built models, the ones I liked were all Japanese. And you would think, oh, well, they make a lot of Japanese tanks. No, they make a lot of German stuff. It's all very primarily German models. And I think it's a couple of reasons. There's just so many varieties of vehicles, and they had so many types of camouflage and stuff you could paint them. And it's not like they weren't busy. I mean, they got used in the war. It wasn't like, well, we didn't. They didn't fight very much with this. Oh no, they had to use everything. So So growing up, the first model I ever built was, I want to say, a P40. It was a snap kit. I don't know, probably monogram, 1/72nd scale with a flying tigers thing. I always thought the mouth was pretty cool. But I mean, what was I, 10 or something like that? Something like that. Whoa, too white. Too much white. And had all kinds of stuff. Here in the States in the early 80s, the ones that were really prevalent were those NPC kits, which were rebranded Airfix ones. I didn't know it at the time because there was no, you couldn't go to a store and find an Airfix kit. At least in this town, they were all NPC. And I always liked their box art and stuff that was on there. And they didn't make every Essex kit. I mean, Essex. They didn't make every Airfix kit, but they made quite a few of them. And I always liked their box art, especially on like their planes. Their planes had really good box art. So I think the first model I ever had of something that was glued was that. No, I had ships first. Yeah, I had the 1/600 scale ships. So I had a Bismarck and a Graf Spee and a Ajax. I want to say an Ajax and a Repulse. Yeah, they didn't make a King George V or a Rodney. I don't think they made a Rodney. Yeah. Then the first aircraft kit I ever built that was and painted and actually painted it was a Stuka. I always liked Stukas. I don't want to be on the receiving end of one, but I always thought they looked pretty wicked. You know, until the Spitfire gets anywhere near them, and then they're hosed. So, but even slow planes can do really useful things. Look at all those swordfish. Those swordfish caused a lot of damage for a really slow biplane that was canvas covered. So, appearances can be deceiving. No, I think it's a post office thing around the world. Airfix Spitfire, Johnny Johnson. You mean the decals that it came with? I don't know which one I had. And I had two Spitfires because I had the Battle of Britain one, which was the Mark One. Then I also had one by, who was it by? This is all 1/72nd scale. Who was it by? It was by somebody else, but it had the, so, I like doing Commonwealth stuff, okay? And I mentioned this before. Maybe I'll mention this every time I go online. I like doing Commonwealth stuff, and I don't mind Commonwealth using Lend-Lease, but I don't like them having American stars. I feel like it just downplays. It sits them off to the sidelines too much, you know. Because the reality is if the UK would have folded, then there'd be nowhere to start the invasion of Europe from. So it's pretty important that they stay to fighting. But I don't want to. I don't want to put American stars on them. I just think it's dumb. But what I do like is I do like the Normandy invasion stripes. Those look good. Those look really, really good on aircraft. I think they look really, really good. So I had a Spitfire Mark. I'm going to say it's a Mark 9. It may not have been a Mark 9. With the long 20s and then the 20 millimeter cannons coming out of the out of the wings in the dark green and gray camo. Beautiful aircraft. So I had one of those. What else did I have? I didn't have a ton of aircraft, um, but that's why I really like. I really like the desert. I don't like to game the desert and skirmish because it doesn't really work. But as far as like building stuff for the desert, because I think both sides are equally interesting as far as building their forces. Both sides have really cool things. One side's got 88s, the other side has Matildas, the threes and fours, and the cruiser tanks, and don't really care much for the Valentines. Sorry, if you're a Valentine fan, but they're slow and I don't know. Never was a fan of the Valentines, but I like the Matildas and the Honeys, of course, and I love Crusaders, man. Crusaders are beautiful tanks. I know they weren't worth a damn sometimes. Well, I don't care. I like Panther tanks a lot, and sometimes their transmissions got fire. Okay. Got to know him later on. Nice bloke. Johnny Johnson. So he was one of the big, I believe he was one of the bigger aces, if I remember correctly. He may have been the hot top ace. I haven't looked at that stuff in a long time, so if I got it wrong. Of course, the guy who's, from my standpoint, the most famous Commonwealth ace was the guy that was at Bader, the guy with no legs, right? Was he missing both legs or just one? I don't know, but that's the guy that was. Well, I haven't really followed that stuff in a long time, so who was doing paper models every month was new one in Model Magazine. Arrange talks with pilots. So, I used to work at a hobby store many moons ago in the early 90s. And at that point, there was still World War II vets that would pretty frequently come in. And I always got a kick out of talking to them because their experience and their attitude varied wildly depending on their what they experienced in the war, which it makes sense. You got one guy that was a bomber crewman had a totally different experience as somebody with an infantryman. But it was interesting talking to those folks. But as interesting as it is, they only got to see a certain piece of the pie that they were involved in. So, I mean, I'm not downplaying their I'm not downplaying their experience, but they're really experienced at what they saw and really can experience something that you can't even comprehend. But at the same time, if they didn't like after the war read about like what really happened, they may not have as comprehensive understanding as you might think. I don't know, it just kind of surprised me that way. Some guys really knew about it and some of them were just got drafted and that was what they did and their own little piece of the pie. So I'm not downplaying any veterans, experience. I'm just saying that it was very different from one person to the next what their their thoughts on it was. So and and that's why I always say that and I've mentioned this before. I've been to wargaming tournaments where I have seen people that they make all kinds of T-shirts for anything, including ones that have, Wehrmacht and SS symbols. Which, okay, I'll tell you, most of those symbols are pretty interesting looking and eye-catching. But if I was to wear something like that, and you encounter someone who's 90 years old and they fought that unit in the war, I mean, no, that's just it's just bad form. It sends the wrong message. You know, I understand it's a big step between painting all these figures and playing with them and trying to win with the bad guys or whatever, and like wearing go team go stuff. It's just a little, I mean, it wouldn't offend me, but it just sends the wrong message. You know, somebody sees you for the first time, I think you're some kind of fanboy for, you know, something you're not. So, but those folks were masters of propaganda and advertising, and, you know, yeah, I'm not wearing a SS runes on a t-shirt at a wargaming convention. I'm because I'm playing those guys. And no, no. And I don't have anybody that in my family that was involved in that stuff, fortunately. So we were in a family was in a neutral nation during that time period. So, well, kind of neutral. I think they joined in later, but they didn't contribute anything. I had when I worked at that store, there was a group of guys that would go around and they would go and go to those pilot meetings and meet with them and stuff like that. And they'd have their autographs and stuff like that. My parents actually knew this one guy here that lived in town, and I never got a chance to meet him. But he was in the Italian Air Force during the war on the other side, and he was SM-79 torpedo bomber pilot. And I want to say he wrote a book or something like that, but I don't know. Things were I never got a chance to meet him. That's maybe 20 years ago or 15 years ago or something like that. But my folks knew him. He was retired and lived here in town. I think it's personal and family experience. I never play Russians and Germans. You mean you never play with them, or you would play? Yeah, yeah, I could see that. Well, like I said, I would never. I don't know anyone that's Polish personally. I mean, I know you guys, but I'm never building a Polish army. That's, you know, I'm never building one of those T-34 or a Soviet Polish army. I'm just not going to do it. You know, if I was going to do Poles, they would be one of their uprisings, or we'll do them in '39, and we'll do them on the Commonwealth side. You know, but no, they deserve better than that. And actually, I know that there were several Polish aces that fought for the Royal Air Force, or maybe they fought for their own nation within the structure of the Royal Air Force. And they had the Polish symbol, which is a little checkerboard, and I think it made the plane look even better. I like that little checkerboard thing. Never have a problem playing with Italians or Japanese. Okay. Yeah, it could be too close to home. And I assume you're talking about World War II. Like, you wouldn't have a problem playing like um, medieval Russians or something, would you? Or these Russians are just right out. This is kind of tedious, but this is pretty relaxing because you can't really do something wrong. It's just slow build up. So if you're gonna screw this up, you saw it coming a mile away. It's not like all of a sudden, only World War II. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I agree with you. This is it's kind of liberating to play the ancient stuff because it's not the same. Nobody's the grudges aren't or the damage isn't right there in your face. We had when we'd go to mass, we had a priest here in town that was from Poland, and we freaking loved him. He was awesome. He was actually when he came to town, he was the first baptism that he did was my daughter. So and he got I'm not really sure what happened, but I think he got into I don't think he did anything wrong. I just think that they wanted to run him off. But he was here many years, but he was awesome. And of course, he's born over there, and he did a service for my dad when he was 90 years old, and he spoke about what had happened to Poland and what happened in Cuba and the similarities of them. So yeah, I really had a took a liking to him. Oh, looks like we got a piece of paint coming up here. Let's see how we deal with that. Let's just cover the area with black and we'll let that dry and then come back and touch that up. Too many stories from their grandparents. Yep. Yes. Well, you can't erase history. You can't not talk about it. You got to keep all that horrible stuff from ever happening again. Well, I say all this ancient history stuff. I mean, some of this stuff just doesn't exist any records of what happened, and millions of people have died, and like, not only are they not even remembered, but the conflict isn't there. It's like, man, that's just shameful that that stuff doesn't exist. Not to glorify it, but man, to learn from it. I mean, I love conquering people, and taking over the world on the tabletop. But I'm a devout pacifist. Unless you break into my house or something, threaten my family. But luckily that doesn't happen. But okay, a little bit of metal there, so we can put these little latches. I know I mentioned this before. There's a relatively new model company, and I don't remember what the name of the model company is. But well, maybe it is. Maybe it's even called First to Fight. But it was. They do all the German invasion stuff in Poland in '39. They do all the stuff. I mean, the Polish trucks, all kinds of stuff. Their stuff's I hear pretty good. So maybe at some point, way down in the future, I might pick up some of their stuff. Not necessarily for the Poland stuff, but stuff you could use at other parts of the war. But might be called First to Fight. It's from Poland, I believe. We had a Polish army, a later Polish army that we picked up. That came out with the figures out. Oh, I don't know. It's probably been 12 years or whatever. This name called of this company, I believe they're still in business, called Osmial Osmi or something like that. I believe Osmial Osmi, and they were in 15 millimeter scale, and they were really nice figures, but they were really a hard compound. Like you couldn't even clean the flash off of them very well because they were so hard. We used to kid that they'd melted down those old T-55 tanks and used them in the mix and poured them in there to make them. But I ended up selling my army of them, and my buddy Jeff was when he was working in Korea with them as well. He just ended up. He said he just threw them in the dumpster. He just couldn't. He couldn't deal with them anymore because the compound was so hard. And now I think they're carried by Fighting 15s now. I believe that's who carries them, and I'm sure they're a better compound. But they make Teutonic Knights, and they do Teutonic Knights from Tannenberg, so they're not the typical. I'm trying to think what the name of the helm is. I guess it would be great helms. Would be like the ones that Merlaton makes for them. Great helms with the horses that are covered in cloth. That would normally that time period, not the 1200s, but they do like a 1400s Teutonic Knights, and of course the Poles and Lithuanians. So. Da, 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 Which squadron had the most kills in the Battle of Britain? 303 squadron. Claimed the largest number of aircraft shot down of the 66 Allied fighter squadrons engaged in the Battle of Britain, even though it joined the fray 2 months after the battle begun. 303. Had it not been for the magnificent material contributed by the Polish squadrons and the unsurpassed gallantry Air Chief Marshal Dowling. Yeah, they were tough fighters, so yeah, I don't understand why they would have any kind of a bad reputation. Yeah, fighter command. Yeah. Back in the day, what was the name of that game that we used to play all the time on the computer? Was it just called Battle of Britain? Man, we played the hell out of that game. Oh my god, it was a flight simulator by, was it Microprose or Dynamics? I think Dynamics did it. Man, we played that circa 1991 or 92 or something like that. We played the living hell out of that thing. And Aces over Europe and all that stuff. Okay, let's compare this one versus the other one, and let's see what we're looking at color-wise. I shouldn't say color-wise, but pop-wise, how much it's popping. Yeah, they're pretty equivalent. I'd say this has got a little bit more lightening up. Let's lighten this one up a little bit on the top, on the wheels, and yeah, and then we can go and find us an emblem to do. Okay. All right. No, this is going to get covered by some. Oh, no, it's not either. I was going to say by some weathering, but nope, we're doing that in the 20 millimeter stuff, not in the 15s. Whoops. Almost misspoke there. So yeah, even though I'm pretty much all I do now is ancients, medievals, that kind of stuff, it's really World War II that was the first thing I got into, military history. So I just really haven't looked at the stuff in like 20 years. So because these medievals and stuff are just so darn playable. You know, you can get a game done in no time. All right, I think we can start looking at what we're going to use as the emblem here. It's got to be some other shield here, and I think we're just going to use a red and little white striped shield. Makes sense to have that on there. These are two typical Hungarian symbols for pretty much all time, or during this time that, and we'll do the other one with the stripes. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to build a little black shield on there, and I'd like for it to be about a similar size as this other one. Let's get a brush we can count on for this. See if I can find the one that I used. Well, we're dropping all kinds of stuff. I don't know about you, but I've had my fill of bending over all day. I'm not at work anymore, so to speak. All right. Now we've got black that's here. Let's move this guy to the side. All right. So it's going to go from there to there. Right. Okay. That's a little silhouette of it. How long do you think you'll be live? Oh, I don't know. 30 minutes, I hope. At least. You said lunch and I got hungry. Damn it. Why'd you say that? No cussing. I'll just pretend you're having black pudding for lunch, and then I'll be okay. There, lost my appetite. Okay, let's just fill all this up. Okay, so we got a black little spot there. Okay. So let's just start with the red and white. Now, I used one particular red. I'm going to purposefully use a different red. I don't know if it makes a huge difference, but we're going to use the one that they like to call scarlet. Okay, scarlet will be our color today. Right? Because we used... No, we're going to use Vermilion. Okay, the flat red is the one we used first. Scarlet's a little bit too orangey. I don't know if it makes that much of a difference. Maybe if I painted them and they were right next to each other, but we'll use a different red, all right? Which should be that one right there that dried out. All right, that's what we're going to use. That's the story. Now, do we want to use this brush or we need to go even thinner? I'm thinking I may need to go thinner than this one. Let's get one that we would use for like a face. Certainly there's one here. Must be this one. That's the one. Yeah, I left all these brushes out here where they're easy to use, easy to get to, but then they were in my way, so I just threw them back in and didn't make a note of which one was using for what. So, yeah, this is looks like a liner, but it's a round. All right. So we're just going to fill these things in. Okay, we'll do the same thing with white. Just finished off the first of the 3 night elements for the feudal English army this morning. I'll start with the second element after lunch. Sleep time for me. See you next time, lads. You bet. Have a good night. Okay. We could just use this black that's just hanging out over here, not being used for anything. Okay, we're gonna brighten that up, but kind of what we got there. We're gonna add one more down here because it looks. There we go. Now we'll leave the black, we'll leave the white for last. And let's go ahead and just do the red, bring the red up. And when painting straight lines, or lines are supposed to be straight, I've had more luck pulling it, pull the brush towards me, not trying to go across from left to right. It seems like pulling it works better for me. go all the way. Okay. Now we'll do the white. And it does make a difference too, adding all these colors instead of just putting, oh, I'll just paint it white and add red stripes to it. No, it looks totally different animal. So. Okay. It's the part where I would clean up this black around the edges, but I don't know that I need to do any of that around the shield. I remember this was painted by peasants that were probably not sober at the time. So. Oh, hold on 1 second. I'm being summoned. Well, Greg made me hungry, and now I have something to eat. The wife made some popcorn, so it's a lot of popcorn. Oh well. Challenge accepted. Okay. What did we miss? Nothing. Okay. They're going to clean up a little bit on the bottom there. Make sure we have a nice symbol shape of the shield. Yeah, this is painted by peasants that probably were not sober. So. Careless brush strokes. Okay, let's take a look at this. Oh, that's pretty good. All right. Let's just set these two over by the side. Is it the way the lighting is coming? Yeah. They're not exactly the same color. And I kind of don't want them to be. We'll end up having to do little hubcaps on there, or something steel on there afterwards. I'm not sure if that's what it's supposed to be, but it seems to make sense. All right, so what do we do now? The crew. Oh, we got to do the other little step there. Popcorn contains the three major food groups: fat, salt, and sugar. Does it contain sugar? It doesn't have much fat. It's homemade, so. Okay. We need to do the other little walk-up thingy, which is here. So this is the one from one. You're doing well with the World War II stuff. Good to see. Good. Just going back to it. Just going back to my roots. Did you watch my video that I shot on Sunday about all the junk I've collected? Well, that's just the vehicles, and that's the stuff I didn't sell. And that's not the vehicles that I already have that are built. Because I have some die-cast stuff. Just a handful, but... It's a little overwhelming, but I think I know how I'm going to go about it, so I need to be methodical about it. Yeah, check it out. It's about an hour long. It was unintentionally supposed to be an hour long, and it was kind of fun because I didn't know what I was going to find either. This is stuff that I've had for over 20 years. I've moved twice, and it shows. A lot of the stuff got damaged, so... I recommend to Mitch that he try a different Italian beer from around Milan. It's called Marabrea. Why try an Italian beer at all? Did you lose a bet or something? You know, I should try one. It's probably not that bad. I just remember when I tried it, we were in an Italian restaurant. My wife and I we were in an Italian restaurant and we're having pizza or something like that. This is probably 15 years ago or something like that. And we both decided to have a beer, and we decided to have a different beer each so we could try them out, right? I think she picked the Peroni. I had something else, and they were both equally bad. They were just lack of taste. It's not that it had a bad taste. It just didn't taste like anything. So... I mean, why drink something that's not good, that's not healthy for you, that doesn't taste like anything? Yeah. No, Mitch didn't bring it. Marty brought that beer. Mitch doesn't drink beer very often. He's got a thing for honey brown, but he usually drinks the Smirnoff Ices that are like grape flavors. I call them, it's a liquid lollipop. I would rather have whiskey than beer because at the end of the night, it's too easy to chug beer. It goes down too easy. So the next thing you know, you've had too many. And then you have to stay longer to be able to drive. But with a whiskey, it's not as easy to drink. You have to be more conscious doing it, and you don't over. I don't over drink as much, so whiskey's actually better for me than the beer. Doesn't mean I don't like beer. It just, you know. I remember one day. Let's not grab that one. I know it's just over here next to the black. Let's get away from it. Let's come over here. The last Historicon we went to, what was it, 2009, 2019. We went after the last session. It was on Friday night, and we went for a beer at the Irish pub next door. It's literally next door. And had a beer with a Welshman that visits us in Florida pretty frequently, or used to. And it was after midnight. I had one beer. I didn't even have a buzz. I went to sleep that night, and I woke up with the migraine of migraines. And felt so bad I couldn't have breakfast. This is a Saturday, so this is we're gonna have to run events and stuff like that. And I threw up in the room and thought it was okay, so I went back to the parking garage because we weren't staying on the property, and I threw up in the middle of the parking garage. I mean, somebody would have seen me, they would have thought I was a drunk or on something to be throwing up at 8 o'clock in the morning. But all off of one beer, it just hit me wrong. I don't know. I suspect I got dehydrated in some way, but if you get to that point, then you got to drink water. But if you drink too much water, then that makes you throw. I don't know. It just it didn't settle well. And then after I got all that out of me, a little bit later, I felt just fine. But I can't say I've had an bad experience like that with whiskey. I don't know. It was just really strange. Maybe I just wasn't awake long enough after I had the beverage to process it. And because of that, in other words, I wasn't awake. And because of that, I got dehydrated. And I don't know. It's all right. It all worked out. But if that was a frequent thing that I would do, that would happen to me, I wouldn't drink because I don't. There's few things I like worse than dislike more than to be sick and throw up. I do not throw up well. Let's put it that way. The people in the neighboring counties can hear me. Oh, it feels like you're gonna freaking die. You know, things aren't supposed to come back up that way. Yeah, it just didn't make any sense. I mean, that night I had one beer. I could have driven. I, I didn't even get a buzz off it. It must have been just dehydration. So like a month ago, at a rehearsal dinner, we had drinks, and I'd been around a lot of people. I guess more people than I normally am. So I'm like, just before bed, I made the mistake of taking a vitamin C on an empty stomach. Oh man, that messed me up. I woke up with one of the worst experiences I've ever had. And after I dealt with it, yeah, then I was fine, but I was miserable. Dehydration, man. Luckily, the wedding was in the evening, or I would not have been able to go. Okay, let's lighten this up a little bit more, and then we'll go back to putting the little grass on the little Jeep. And I think somewhere I actually have guys that'll fit in the seat of that. I don't know if those two will actually fit in that particular Jeep because that one doesn't have much of a place for the feet to go. So it might be one of those, well, you can get guys to ride in there, but you have to amputate them. But I don't know where those figures are, but I'm not going to sidetrack myself into painting figures right now. If we do some World War II play, I already have enough figures painted to do that sort of thing, so. Okay. Let's set them off to the side. All right, let's get the little GP out here. I guess nobody responded to me on whether it was a GAZ or a GAZ, so. I think one guy said he always called it a GAZ, so that's what I will do. GAZ 67. I think it might be GAZ 67B. Could be wrong. Okay. We need to get our grass, and we need to go get some tuftage. See where the tufts hanging out these days. Yep, we're gonna have to order more of this stuff. Finally, sadly, I recon the most deserving. Often absent military parades. Pride of Soviet production. What's to do with the Hungarians? A cruise of a war wagon is a given, but I can't recall what's left to be done. Just that. I can build knights that are not deep, but I may not do that. I may just run them with the deep knights. That's what kind of makes them distinguish anyways. So, really a war wagon cruise. And then who knows what we'll do next. But we're only doing the World War II stuff in between stuff. We're not going to just like, okay, for the month of May, we're going to work on World War II stuff. No, it's not going to work that way. So, because what'll happen is, you know, as much as I like the World War II stuff and looking to do some other things, the reality is what's going to get the gameplay is the DVA stuff. I mean, we've proven that you build that stuff and something's going to, and you're going to do something with it. That's kind of a given. So, whereas the World War II stuff, I got to learn how to play the rules again and all that stuff. And my right now, I'm doing the painting for the therapy. So, to be honest with you, it's the weathering that I wanted to do. You know, and you know what it is about this light. This does not want to behave right. Like, what you guys are seeing there doesn't look like what I see, but again, I'll say it again. I need to take them outside and take pictures. Yeah. Well, last weekend it was rainy, so All right, where is Mr. Elmer's glue? Le glue de Elmer's. I shouldn't do that. As soon as I put it on here, I'm going to end up putting my elbow in it, and then I'm going to carry it all over the place and get it on something else, and then I'll have to do damage control. So, let's cut us a little piece of this. If I had known I was gonna be as happy with this as I would have actually filled in these little air bubbles there on the hood. But these are very crude models. I'm like, it's not gonna look good. Well, I'm happy with how it turned out, so now we know. Oh, and I did find a JS2. So over the weekend, because I said I wanted to knock out all the Soviet stuff first. And I did find a BP cast JS2. Hey, look, I started basing it black and then, saw a squirrel and left. So this is, this is BP cast. It's pretty crude, but it'll paint up okay. We'll need to drill out the rear machine gun here, put a piece of sprue in there, and looks like the coax here is not drilled out either. I bet it has a coax. It's got to have a coax. And then we'll have to indent this and somehow this is very, very crude. Well, I'm going to paint it or I'm going to throw it away because I'm not going to, as much as I would like to buy other models, I will not allow myself to do that while these other ones are done. Now, being done. Now, what I will do is order decal sets or something else that I need to, maybe get them complete. But no, it's a slippery slope. I'm not getting into that. Well, I had 200 vehicles to do, and then I got back into it, and now I have 400. No, not doing that. Okay, where is the little magic tool? Here we go. Of course, it's magnetized, so we can carry it around from place to place whenever it is that we do that, and it won't damage itself. So, trying to plan ahead a little bit. All right. Yeah, that unboxing video I think is called Land of Misfit Toys or something like that. And that's stuff that I didn't know what I was going to find. I haven't messed with that stuff in over 25 years, so. So there's lots of reasons why I didn't do the Germans first. First of all, everybody does Germans. Second of all, there's some vehicles that I have that I'm going to have a hard time deciding whether I'm going to make them Panzer Gray or Dunkelgelb. I am a fan of my Germans being gray if they can be gray. So in other words, I'm not going to go paint Panthers in gray, okay? But I just think that they look better with the uniforms. So obviously, if I'm painting Panzer 4H's, I can't exactly make them gray either. So there's give and there's take. But stuff like the Opel Blitz trucks, what color am I going to do them? Well, I'd like them gray if I usually don't want that to be the case. So we'll use something, the end of this brush that's wooden, so that we don't end up chipping something without wanting to. All right. All right, and what do we got here? What can fit here? I don't want to put it anywhere it's been run over. Put right there is fine. We're in. So yeah, it's a tough decision I got to make on some of the vehicles about which way to go. So I didn't want to start with that problem right off the bat. Okay, that's enough. We don't need to go crazy. And I'm probably going to, I mentioned this earlier, I'm probably going to end up redoing the headlights. I do want them to look cartoonish a little bit. I just think they could be a little better than they already are. So at some point, I can just come in there and repaint the headlights on them and the armored car also. And then, you know, seal that one area anyway. So, you know. Have you tried Big Battle DBA? I have. I have been coerced into playing it. Not, well, I haven't played it in DBA 3.0, but in 2.2, I've probably played it 20 times. And every time I've played it, I'm like, I'm not going to play this again. I don't like it. I don't like it because there's a game within a game of setting up commands. And it reminds me too much of work. It reminds me of doing all this long-range planning, and then you botch a couple of rolls, and then it comes for naught. And it's a lot of like, okay, leave the area while I talk with my partner. I like the co-op aspect of it. I just don't like the battle plan part of it. Matter of fact, the last time I played, I told my buddy, "You set up the commands, and I'm just going to play." I like to play games when you're a little bit more off the cuff, not do all this planning. 'Cause you do all the planning and then things go south, and then I'm like, you just wasted all my time planning. That reminds me of a work day for me. So it's not for me. I just think that, you know, if I wanted the game to last that much longer, I would just play a game that had more detail. But lots of people like it. So I have played it about 20 times, and I don't care for it. I do like the teammate aspect. That part's good because there's somebody you could root for. But my favorite way to play DBA really was like when we do one of those big battles where everybody's commanding their own army. but you can command it yourself. It's not like you're creating these other battle groups that are, maybe you put all your knights in one of them and that kind of a thing. So Mitch definitely likes it more than I do. I'm really the one that in our group that doesn't like it. So, but I probably played it 24 times. So it's not like I tried it once, I didn't like it. It's what makes DBA unique is the dozen elements. If you start playing a game now with 36 elements, well, then it's the same as many other rules. So, okay. What else we got? So yeah, what we're at on the guys in the crew. There's 8 guys with firearms. There's going to be 4 in each war wagon, and one guy is he almost done? He's about halfway done, but it's 10-10. I think I'm going to call it a night, and we'll hit the ground running with this next time. But I just kind of wanted to hang out for a little bit, finish the war wagon. Now we got both of them done, and finished up the Jeep and had some popcorn and some good times. So anyhow, we'll catch you guys next time. We should have another battle game video on Monday. I don't know what it is. And we kind of don't plan, because even when you do, we have a lot of people that you never know whether they're going to show up or not, and how many people are there and who's there will affect what we play. So I should be there, and Mitch should be there, and hey Rick, how are you? But as far as what exactly we're doing, I don't know. It'll be something cool. We'll have a good time. Don't be whiskey. That's enough of a reason to watch it. So, and I noticed if you watched the last video we did, I decided to bring the dice cup back, even though I was inconsistently rolling it. I thought afterwards I was only using it half the time. I do enjoy doing the dice cup, but I do enjoy pounding the dice cup down when, before I reveal what's in the dice cup, and that tends to knock the figures around a little bit. So anyhow, we'll see if that makes a return the following week. But okay, well, until next time, you guys have a good evening, and happy painting. Bye bye.